everybody, and welcome to the third in a series of videos I'm doing covering not only my Godzilla collection, but all the DVD and Blu-ray releases of the series. Keep in mind that this is the Region 1 releases of this, so I won't be covering things like the Japanese releases or the European releases, just to keep things quick and clean. So we've already covered the Showa and Heisei periods, which if you haven't seen, I'll include links somewhere, at the very least in the description down below. And in this video, I'll be covering the Millennium Era. The Millennium Era started with 1999's Godzilla 2000, I know, it's only just a little bit confusing, and ended with 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. There's a total of 6 movies in this series, which is even less than the last one. Again, I'm focusing more on the history and home releases of these, so I'm not going to get too much into the plots, though I'll probably talk about them a little bit. I mean, there's not very many movies to cover, so it's probably going to happen. Just it won't be a deep dive, just saying. Also, before I get into the main Millennium Era movies, I think I really got to touch on the Geno of the series, or Godzilla in name only, which is Godzilla 98. Now, this movie gets a whole lot of flack for not being the greatest, and honestly, it isn't. It's not very good. But I think it gets just a little bit more flack than it deserves, all because it's supposed to be a Godzilla movie. If it was just a random monster movie, I think it would be okay. It's kind of like how if Halloween 3 wasn't associated with the Halloween series, it wouldn't get as much flack. Like, imagine a movie like Hot Tub Time Machine was called Back to the Future. Going in, you're already judging. Like, bear in mind, this was supposed to be a completely different movie. It had designs done by Stan Winston, and apparently the idea was to have Godzilla be like a creation of Atlantis to fight a shape-shifting creature called the Griffin. It sounds interesting, and if you're really curious, they apparently ended up making that into a graphic novel called Godzilla 94. Of course, though, that's not the movie we got. Godzilla was passed on to Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, the guys who brought us Independence Day. Now, apparently they read the original script and just discarded it because it didn't sound like something they do. So they decided to focus more on if Godzilla was an animal instead of all of the other stuff that I mentioned. Just in reading the pre-production material, it's obvious that they wanted to do something completely different and didn't care much for the original. And I say that because of statements like, he wanted a different design because the Toho one didn't make sense. One thing to note as well is apparently one aspect of the design, that huge chin, comes from Shere Khan of the Jungle Book, which is a super weird pull. But anyway, I digress. Overall, the movie is a fine disaster film. Like I mentioned, if it wasn't associated with Godzilla, it would be okay. It also has a lot of weird references to like Jurassic Park, with the raptor weird Godzillas and stuff. But again, if it was just its own thing, I wouldn't care as much and just think this is an awesome popcorn flick. This got released a few times on DVD and Blu-ray. The first one came out in 1998 and is the edition I have. The disc itself is pretty cool. I like that I still have the insert. And I have to say that it has the same cover that I remember the VHS having, though I remember the VHS having like a shiny cover. The menus are not the worst, but definitely could be better, and the features lack a lot of the behind-the-scenes creature stuff. It's mostly like, let's hype up the movie type stuff, with a lot of like still galleries and featurettes as well. It also includes a bunch of trailers, which I always enjoy. I got mine for about $1, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. This then got another release in 2006 called the Monster Edition, which has the cheapest looking cover for this I can imagine. This basically has all the same features as the previous release, minus trailers and actor bios. What it adds is a featurette on the top Godzilla fights and a few episodes of the animated series. So basically, if you don't have the first release, might as well go grab this one. But if you do, it's not worth an upgrade. Like, even the menus are exactly the same. I'll also mention here that this pops up a bunch in different Godzilla box sets just to really hammer home it's part of the series. The first Blu-ray came out in 2009, has the same features as the Monster Edition, minus the cartoon episodes. And now, with an added trivia game and trailers to unrelated movies. It then gets 2 different 4K releases, one in 2013 and one in 2019. Again, looks like the same features just keep getting carried over with nothing really new to note. So yeah, after the Godzilla 98 fan outcry, Toho decided to bring the character back. Just 2 months after the release of 98, they went into production on the next movie. So Godzilla 2000 was released in 1999. I know, it's still a bit weird. Now, I remember this coming out and being super confused, thinking it was a sequel to the 98 movie, but it isn't. It's totally its own thing, and kicked off the Millennium Series. It involves aliens trying to regenerate themselves using Godzilla DNA, which then creates a monster called Orga. Now, there's 2 different versions of this movie. As usual, there's the Japanese and American version. Now, the American version is made a lot more humorous with Toho's permission.
I guarantee it'll go through Godzilla like crap through a goose.
There was apparently talks of a direct sequel to the American version, directed by Joe Dante and featuring a lava bat-like monster in Hawaii, but it never happened due to funding issues. But anyway, this got released on DVD in 2000. Hey! This is the American version only, and it comes with trailers, a behind-the-scenes featurette, talent files, and a commentary. It then appeared in some of the previously mentioned box sets. The last release was in 2014, and it's the one I have on Blu-ray. It's part of the Sony Toho collection. It has most of the same features as the DVD release, minus the US trailer. This only has the Japanese one. I'll also quickly note, one thing I love on the Toho collection Blu-rays is when they include the Japanese trailers, they always tend to have a bit at the end of the trailer where you could have gotten like collectible toys or something from purchasing your movie ticket ahead of time. It's super cool to see. This Blu-ray also comes with both US and Japanese versions of the movie, which is excellent to have. I'll also mention here briefly, and then not bring it up again, that this also appeared on the Toho Collection DVDs I mentioned in the last video. These DVDs included most of the Heisei period and has all of the Millennium era on them. The only downside, again, is that the audio is inconsistent, where sometimes it's only the subtitled Japanese version and sometimes it's only the dubbed English version. So again, if you know that going into it, it's fine, but if you don't, that could be frustrating. So just bring it up again and then I won't talk about it anymore. Anyways, again, all these Sony Toho collection Blu-rays kind of vary between $20 to $25 in price, and they all kind of have the same generic menus, so I'm just going to also mention that right here. The next movie in the series is Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, which actually isn't a direct sequel to 2000. It ignores all previous entries besides the first Godzilla movie. It involves a black hole gun, which allows a prehistoric dragonfly to enter present day and then mutate into Megaguirus. It's not my top favorite by any stretch, but it's got some cool scenes. I enjoy the final fight with Godzilla. There's not much to mention here in terms of production, so I'll just say the first DVD came out in 2004 by TriStar and featured some trailers. The nice thing to note is it comes with the option of either subbed or dubbed, which is always a plus. It appeared again in one of the previously mentioned box sets, and then was finally released on Blu-ray in 2014 in a double feature with Destroya, which is the version I own. It comes with dubbed or subbed options as well as 2 trailers. I'll also say, it's not a big deal by any stretch of the imagination, but it is kind of weird that Megaguirus comes with Destroya. So Destroya was the last of the Heisei period. This is the second of the Millennium period. So on the shelf, it has to go Megaguirus, then 2000, and then forward because it's in the same box as Destroya. Again, I don't know how else you would rearrange that. It just kind of sucks. The next movie in the series is Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All-Out Attack, which is a mouthful, so fans usually refer to it as Godzilla GMK. Again, this ignores previous entries aside from the original, though it does take a stab at the 98 Godzilla, mentioning that there was an attack that Americans thought was Godzilla, but it wasn't. Originally, they apparently wanted to bring back the mantis monsters from Son of Godzilla, but decided against it since the last one featured insect monsters already. So instead, the movie brings Godzilla back and explains that he's actually composed of the spirits of those killed in the Pacific War, and that the 3 Guardians of the Earth are needed to stop him. I really like this one as it has moments that feel almost like a 90s horror film. I'm also down with the monster redesigns. Like, Godzilla looks terrifying in this with his whited out eyes and how he stands and moves around. I think Ghidorah is the only one whose design I'm not super crazy about. It's a very different movie. Like, Ghidorah is the hero in this. I think a lot of the different feels can be attributed to the director, who is also responsible for the Heisei Gamera trilogy. Anyways, this was released on DVD in 2004 by TriStar. It has dub or sub options, as well as a few trailers, similar to the ones found in the first Megaguirus DVD. It then was released in a triple feature in 2014, and then on Blu-ray that same year in a double feature with Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which is the one I own. The Blu-ray includes sub or dub options, as well as a trailer, which is always a welcome addition. And hey, while we're on this Blu-ray, the next in the series is Godzilla against Mechagodzilla from 2002. Not to be confused with Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which is a completely different movie. Anyway, this and the next movie, Tokyo SOS from 2003, are direct sequels to one another, but again seem to only share continuity with the original Godzilla. Now these two flow together nicely, so let me go over them at the same time. In Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla is created using the bones of the original Godzilla, so it's more of a cyborg than a straight up robot this time. It's piloted by our main character, Lieutenant Akane Yashiro, who hesitated in a confrontation earlier in the movie, accidentally resulting in some deaths by Godzilla. So people don't like her since she's already gotten people killed, and she's constantly proving she's qualified and can handle this situation. It's an excellent movie, and the new design here of Mechagodzilla is my favorite. It's an excellent marriage of the original with the new sleek look of the second incarnation. Anyway, the original bones of Godzilla proved to be a bit unstable, and in the next movie the twin fairies show up to try and convince everyone to return to the bones to the bottom of the ocean, and Mothra can just be the defender they need, instead of this weird cyborg sin against nature. Both movies have excellent fight scenes, and I just love the story arc overall. Anyway, Against Mechagodzilla got its first DVD release by TriStar in 2004, with the only special features being trailers of other random movies. It also does come with a subbed or dubbed option, which is appreciated. The same release also then showed up in a box set as seen earlier. Then we're back to the 2014 Blu-ray we started at. Tokyo SOS also got 2 releases. The DVD came out in 2004 as part of TriStar's 50th anniversary collection, which also showed up in the 50th anniversary box set. The DVD features a teaser trailer and a few other random movie trailers, as well as a 22-minute behind-the-scenes featurette. It then got a Blu-ray release in 2014, which is the one I have, and comes as a double feature with Godzilla Final Wars, and it has a trailer and I believe the exact same 22-minute featurette just mentioned. So that brings us to the final film of the Millennium Series, and believe me, it goes out with a bang. Godzilla Final Wars is insane. It's like a live-action anime mixed with a ton of references to the Godzilla movies of the 70s, and features a bunch of classic monsters brawling it out. There's also like super soldier mutant human characters, a dude that reminds me of Sergeant Slaughter, and aliens that are just up to no good and look badass. I've read someone compare this to like a musician's greatest hits album, and I'd say that's pretty accurate. This got a DVD release in 2005 by Sony Pictures under the 50th anniversary collection of Godzilla movies. Again, we got sub or dub options with some random trailers, as well as a featurette titled B-Roll, which is like an 18-minute behind-the-scenes featurette. It then got a Blu-ray release in 2014, which is the one I have. It comes with trailers for the movie and the same B-roll featurette just mentioned, which is like before and after shots with no narration. It's very cool to see and very different from most behind the scenes you normally get. And that covers the Millennium era. Hope you found this enjoyable and somewhat helpful. Next, I'll just wrap things up by talking about the current state of Godzilla as well as where it looks like it's going. So if you're interested in seeing that, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out some of the other videos that Jex and I do on this channel, as we like to talk about movies and music and just entertainment in general. Also, don't forget to join our Discord. If you don't already have Discord, it's free to download and sign up for. It's basically just an open chat where you can talk to Jex and me about different, music or movies or whatever you feel like chatting about, and connect with other people that also like to talk about movies or music. So hey, feel free to join it. But anyways, I'll see you next time, guys. Later.